Welcome back to Second and Short. It is Friday, January 31st, 2024. January is already coming to a close. We're moving quickly. We're a 12th of the way through the year already. The Pro Bowl is this week, which we will barely be covering for your sake and ours. We won't be talking about it unless there is literally something that has to be talked about on Monday's episode regarding the Pro Bowl. You won't hear a peep out of us about how the Pro Bowl goes. So don't worry about that. The stuff we will be talking about today, we got almost every head coaching vacancy filled since the last week. The last one that's still open is the Saints, which we're still waiting on. We got some favorites for that one. The MLB moves rolling in with spring training right around the corner. Premier League season rolling on this weekend. We had the conclusion of the Champions League stage, which was madness. I think in a good way and a bad way, which I'll be talking about a lot. I have a whole kind of recap on my thoughts of the final match day. Me and Luke are going to give maybe some more overarching thoughts soon on the league stage, but I'll have my opinions on the final match day. And then, of course, the January transfer window, also soon to close. So we're going to run through some of those moves that have been confirmed as well. Luke, how you doing? Like I said, a lot going on, but also at the same time, it feels like nothing's going on as we wait for the Super Bowl to come.
Yeah, I think, it's classic Luke to just go ahead and talk about the weather when you asked me this question. The weather's been phenomenal.
It has.
It's
I
been,
literally was thinking about that earlier. I was like, I can't wait for Luke to bring up that the weather's changing because it has, and it
yeah.
feels amazing.
Oh, it feels so good outside.
Yeah, I
So
went to the driving range yesterday. And just like I put on like a light quarter zip shorts, brother. It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It was like 55 to 60 degrees the whole time I was there. And like it felt so good out there. I was like, I'm getting a large bucket. I happened to walk up. I walk up to a lane, put down the large bucket, realize some dude left like half a small bucket sitting there. It was just my lucky day.
Yeah.
Until I started hitting the balls, then things got a little weird. But no, like this weather has been absolutely beautiful, absolutely wonderful.
It has.
Sports wise, though, how are we feeling
About just sports in general?
Mm-hmm. What's the state of sport in Luke's eyes right now?
I miss the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited for the Yankees to start back up. And I think regardless of kind of the boring matchup of, Chiefs Eagles, I am really excited to see this rematch. Rematches are still important,
Definitely.
and a big deal, no matter what the teams are, no matter like I guess who you wanted to go, um, make it to the Super Bowl. But it's just everything's good, man. Everything's going well.
That's awesome.
I'm missing my Steelers and my Yankees, and I
Yeah.
wish Chelsea was better. So
Luckily, Newcastle's on great form, which is helping me out a little bit. But I don't miss Florida State. I don't miss the Falcons right now. I'm enjoying this blissful time where I just get to be like, we're far enough removed now. We can forget about this bullshit that just happened. Let's just dream on what's gonna happen next year. That's where I'm at. And then I've also got to kind of pay attention to the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl. Like I gotta kind of pay attention to those things pre-combine, just so I have an idea of where some guys might be in the draft. Just because I want to know about that, I guess. I don't necessarily need to know. It's stuff I'll find out down the road, but I am, loosely paying attention to the coverage of those two big events because there's obviously almost all those names are going to be guys that get drafted in a couple months' time. So there is things to pay attention to right now, but it's also a nice time where I just get to forget what happened in football season and baseball season for that matter, and start just looking ahead to the potentially good stuff down the road.
yeah.
We definitely have a lot coming up for the podcast. We're going to be going live for the Super Bowl. Me and Colin kind of decided that a couple weeks ago on the podcast that just didn't make sense for us to wait until the Super Bowl was over to record the whole episode. So we're just going to kind of like have an episode on a live stream and simultaneously talk about the Super Bowl. I do believe that Mike will be joining us for it. So the third and long crew on a episode of Second and Short, it will count as an episode of Second and Short, though it won't be going up on the podcast platform. So if you're listening on the podcast platforms, you wake up on Monday and you're like, hey, where's the pod? Go on YouTube. You can watch the replay of the live stream if you'd like. But we're going to be going live during the Super Bowl. And then
Are y'all gonna are y'all gonna stay live and do a halftime reaction to Kendrick?
I don't like. We're gonna watch. We'll be live the whole game.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know. I don't know how that'll work because we would have to mute our microphones to listen to it, so that the stream doesn't get taken down. But I don't think anybody wants to watch his like 20-minute halftime performance through us with us muted.
That is a good point.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I know like me and Mike will at least appreciate that halftime show. So I don't know. We'll probably make a decision in the moment. But definitely tune into the live stream. Super Bowl Sunday. Going to start whenever the Super Bowl starts. I think it's at 6:30. And go all the way till the end of the Super Bowl, which is going to be fun. And then we will only have one episode of Second and Short before we take a 2-week break. So I'll get the exact dates here. Me and Luke will be recording on the 13th, so 2 weeks from now. That episode will come out on Valentine's Day. After that, our next episode of the podcast won't come out until March 3rd. We're going to take the last 2 weeks of February off, give ourselves a break after a long football season, and also give ourselves a little bit of rest before we hop into MLB and before we hop into draft season, because those are two big things that are going to be coming up as soon as we come back from this break. So we're going to give ourselves these 2 weeks after the Super Bowl to just kind of recoup after a long football season, and then dive headfirst into essentially the rest of the year. So
yeah, because we got division grades and shit coming
definitely
up, so that's going to be exciting.
Definitely. A lot of stuff to cover that will be very fun. So definitely look forward to that. And the best way to keep up with that, obviously, if you're on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed and turn on post notifications, and make sure you like and comment on this video while you're at it. And then, of course, on the podcast platforms, rate 5 stars, give us a follow on there, and follow us on all of our social media accounts, Instagram, TikTok, join the Second and Short subreddit, r/2ND, A&D short. And, yeah, just be on the lookout. We've got 2 videos that are going to be coming out on the 2 Wednesdays of those 2 weeks we're out. So the 19th, my birthday, and the 26th, we will have videos coming out for you guys to watch. It's going to be super fun. I'm not going to tell you guys exactly what they are. I might have even leaked it on this past Monday's episode. I might have leaked what one of them is, but the other one I'm not going to say. You guys will just have to stay tuned and see what happens there. But with that being said, a lot of stuff to cover today. We got the NFL coaching news to talk about, quite a few hirings there. Some MLB moves that have been rolling in, some good kind of smaller moves. We've seen a lot of the bullpen guys go now. Premier League matches to talk about, Champions League to talk about, January transfer window, and then, of course, Nathan supplied us with some questions this week. Luke, you ready to talk about some NFL coaching news?
Yeah, let's do it.
Feels weird to not preview a football game. I must admit, it feels a little bit odd that we don't have a football game to talk about right now. But look, we're gonna get past that. And next week will be the last time we preview a football game. So everything just feels a little weird right now. But let's go ahead and get into this coaching stuff. And it's funny. The last thing we talked about last week for head coaching news was that Liam Cohen took himself out of the running for the Jags job. Boy, did that change.
Like literally minutes later after we were done recording.
Yeah. So the report was that he took himself out of the running, and because of that, he agreed to terms on a new contract in Tampa that would make him the highest paid coordinator in the league. The Jags then fired their general manager, Trey Baalke, upped the offer a shitload to Liam Cohen, and Liam Cohen reportedly ghosted the Bucs, told them that he had a son that was sick in the hospital, which I believe was true. I think that part has been confirmed. He said that one of his kids was in the hospital. he just goes ghosts on them, and all of a sudden he takes the Jacksonville job. Kind of weird stuff going on there, but also this is just what people do in the NFL. I don't see why anybody's getting up in arms about it. I've seen a lot of Bucs fans complaining mostly, but it's like, look, you were going to lose him. It was just a matter of money, and the money got decided, so you lost him. That's just how it goes. And the Bucs also have nowhere to talk because like they were so dirty when it came to like John Gruden's time in Tampa ending and like multiple other coaching situations that they've had. They didn't really play very nice. So it kind of came back to bite them in the ass here with Liam Cohen. We have to talk about the press conference that he had, the introductory press conference. I'm sure you've seen the videos of him saying Duval. It was bad.
Yeah.
I wanted to do an impression of it, but I won't do it justice. I know I won't. But let me just say, I'm going to force Colin to do it. I'm going to force Colin to do the impression. The astounding part of the whole thing, and look, the way he says Duval is absolutely ridiculous, but his eyebrows when he says Duval is the part to look at in that video. One eyebrow is raised, and then halfway through the word Duval, the other one raises as well. And it just looks so weird. And like,
how do you do that?
I don't know. I don't have that kind of control of my face like that. But also, not to be like an asshole, whatever child built that like Mr. Potato Head face that Liam Cohen has did a bad job. Dude. He just looks like malformed. I don't know. Now I feel like I'm just like making fun of him, but I am. But I'm sure he's going to be a great coach. And I already like some of the staff options he's had. So we'll see what happens there. But congrats to Liam Cohen. You got the bag. I'll give him that. He just seems like a little bit of a goober. And if you know how I think about like Nick Sirianni, you'll know that I probably won't be the biggest fan of Liam Cohen if I had to guess. He seems very much in line to be just a cornball, which is what I have called Nick Sirianni for probably 2 years now. Next big hiring, and this one definitely caught me by surprise. It kind of developed quickly, was the Raiders hiring Pete Carroll to be their head coach. It fits perfectly with what everybody's been saying, is that Brady had a lot of input. He wanted a guy who's going to whip that whole organization into shape, and that is what Pete Carroll is. What Pete Carroll also is 73 years old, and by week 1, he'll be 74, meaning that he will break the record for the oldest coach to coach an NFL game in NFL history on week 1 when he coaches their opening game. That is pretty obvious of what's going on here. He's here to just bridge the gap. Like I said, he's here to whip the organization into shape, create some kind of culture, and then bring in the guy who's really going to lead the charge onward. And I think he's a great coach for that. I don't know if it's perfect. I don't know what your opinions are here with Pete.
Sorry, getting a phone call that distracted me.
Not a problem.
I really like the move because you brought up the great point where, like, I think he signed a 3-year deal with them. He could still, find success in those 3 years. But you're exactly right. He's the bridge the gap kind of guy, but he's also the kind of guy that can probably leave a culture that can, stick with them for years to come. So I love the move, and then they're also the team that got the Bucs old GM as well, too.
John
right?
Spytek,
which Brady definitely had a lot of input in because he would have been the GM that brought Brady there. So I like what the Raiders are doing. Of course, I definitely don't like them as a Steelers fan, but it'll be nice to see them get better and more competitive, and I think that's exactly the direction that they're going into. And if I was a Raiders fan, I'd be super excited.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of decisions to be made. Like, this is a very important offseason. Really, any offseason where you fire or where you're hiring a new GM and a new head coach is an important offseason. But there's some big decisions to be made within that organization when it comes to the squad. and I know this is not the time to get into it, so we won't, but like there is a big decision of like, do you go out and get a free agent quarterback? Do you trade for a quarterback or do you draft a quarterback? That's a huge decision that's going to have to be made. And I think, personally, having Tom Brady involved and having John Spytek as the GM and having Pete Carroll's input there, and I don't know if he's brought on an offensive coordinator yet, but whoever that is, having those guys' input, I think is really going to help them out. And I do think that this is quite the Avengers that they've put together to try and make this decision, and you just got to hope that they make the right one.
Exactly. You got a lot of great football minds that are, working together to rebuild this organization. So I really don't see how it could go wrong.
Yeah. I'm glad you said it. I don't see how it could go wrong because I can see how this next move could definitely go wrong quickly. The Cowboys hiring Brian Schottenheimer as head coach. And by hiring Brian Schottenheimer, I mean Jerry Jones hired a puppet to be the head coach of the team. That's what this is. And in no disrespect to Brian Schottenheimer, it just doesn't seem like the move. Nobody really thought the Cowboys were really going to move on from Mike McCarthy. And then a day before his contract expires, they agree to part ways. And then you promote the offensive coordinator who's only been in that offensive coordinator position with this organization for 2 seasons. And prior to that, spent 1 season as a coaching analyst. This is a guy who's gotten fired from almost every offensive coordinator job he's had. It was never a step up in Brian Schottenheimer's career so far. He got an OC job with the Jets in 2006. He was there till 2011. They were never a great offense necessarily. Doesn't get retained after, I believe, Rex Ryan got fired. Then goes on to other jobs, same thing. He ran into some issues when he was in St. Louis with the Rams, where Bradford kept getting hurt. Offenses sucked. Went to Seattle, had some great years. 2.5, really, successful years in Seattle. Third one ends poorly, gets him fired. It's not like he's been just so successful in anything. But also, I want to give him his credit because back in like 2007, 2008, I can't necessarily remember what year it was when Nick Saban was leaving the Dolphins. He was in the running for that job and took himself out of the running for that job. And multiple other times, he's been a coach that's been surrounded by head coaching attention and never really took it. But this just doesn't seem right.
No. I couldn't agree with you more. I feel like this guy's set up for failure. He doesn't really have, like you mentioned, a very promising track record.
No.
I'm sure he's a smart guy and a good football mind, but he's about to become the head coach of one of the biggest sports franchises in the entire world. It's nasty, it's demanding, and the fans are going to probably end up killing this guy during the season, on social media, of course. And to me, if I was Jerry Jones, I'd want to bring in someone that's already established to fix this team.
That's what he did with Mike McCarthy, and he got 3 12-win seasons out of it.
And to be able to take one of the biggest franchises in the world is going to take somebody that's kind of already established, or at least in my opinion. But then again, if I was Jerry Jones, I'd be a prick, and I'd not want any kind of butting heads with my head coach on, my decision making. So I might as well bring up some guy in the organization that I can just fucking push around and still be able to run the team. That's exactly what this move is.
Yeah.
Fuck Jerry Jones. And for the Cowboys, you guys are screwed until he dies, basically.
Can somebody please tell Jerry Jones what a glory hole is so he'll stop saying it? Please.
Oh, man.
He's said it so many times over the last decade. It's unbelievable. Somebody please tell him what everybody else thinks that is, because he clearly we're not on the same page about what a glory hole is, Jerry Jones.
Yeah, not only does he not know what a glory hole is, but he just doesn't know football in 2025. He doesn't know ball.
Point. That's a great point. Well, and you made a good point about wanting to bring in somebody that's established. He brought in a Super Bowl winning head coach, and that wasn't good enough for him. 12-win seasons weren't good enough for him.
Yeah.
And so they part ways. Mike McCarthy, which he is not. He's likely out of the running for the Saints job. By the way, the last opening is still there. Likely out of it. Focusing more towards next year's coaching cycle. Is a 14-year head coach in the NFL, a Super Bowl champion, has coached numerous 12-plus win seasons. And you just let him walk out the door is crazy.
Yeah.
Like Jerry Jones
Absolutely.
easily could have let Mike McCarthy interview for some jobs before deciding let's just cut ties. They got requests, and he said no. So he kind of screwed over Mike McCarthy in this whole situation too, which sucks. But yeah, I don't see a world where Brian Schottenheimer's successful. Maybe he just turns into his dad, and all of a sudden you have Marty Schottenheimer Jr. Running this team. I don't know. You might luck out. I doubt it. Next thing though, Saints job still open, like I just said. Mike McCarthy out of the running, most likely at least. And another kind of important thing to point out is that Dennis Allen took a job. So he's no, not Dennis Allen. Was that who I was thinking of? No, Darren Rizzi's still out there. Never mind. Sorry, I was thinking Dennis Allen was the coach, but he was the fired coach. I got them mixed up. So the Saints are in a weird spot with this coaching job. Right now, Kellen Moore's the favorite, is what I'm hearing. Which I don't know. I don't know if Kellen Moore's time is now to be a head coach. I know he was in conversations for it when he was still in Dallas, when he was the OC. And then things just kind of got sour. They fire him. He goes to the Chargers, did some good stuff. Then they also fired him, I think, and then he took the Eagles job. Kind of just a weird career path to this point for Kellen Moore. I still believe in his future. I just don't know if the Saints is where he wants to find himself right now.
Yeah, he'd probably be good in kind of like rebuilding that offense, though.
Yeah, potentially.
Them
But
straight.
also at that point, I think there's a lot of rebuilding to do with that offense. I think there's a lot of changes that need to happen. Obviously, Derek Carr's not going to be there for long, and maybe it's obviously it's a little too late to say it now because you keep extending him. But maybe Alvin Kamara shouldn't be around much longer if that's the direction you're moving in. I don't know. And it'd be a good idea to maybe keep your wide receivers healthy. That would also help, which I guess the quarterback problem addresses that, honestly. But yeah, the Saints job seems weird. I do think Kellen Moore will probably be the guy that ends up getting it. It just doesn't feel like anybody else necessarily sticks out to me, unless they were to bring back Darren Rizzi, which I don't necessarily think is a great idea. I think he's fine for culture. I don't think he's good for head coaching.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all the head coaching jobs. Got a GM hiring. Titans hired Chiefs assistant GM Mike Borgonzi as their GM. I don't really know anything about this guy, so I don't really have anything to say. But I would assume, if you're the assistant GM of the Chiefs, you've probably been a part of some good decisions, considering they're in the midst of a potential three-peat. The Jags and Jets, still no GMs for the two of them to this point, which I think is kind of weird that the Jets still haven't hired a new GM, despite the fact that they already hired their coach. Kind of an odd move to make. And then the Jags, you fired your GM to get your coach, and now you have to kind of go back and cover your tracks now. Both those teams handled their offseasons kind of weird. But back to the Jets, we're going to run through a bunch of coordinator jobs. I just went ahead and put the notes here in case anybody wanted to know them. I don't really have much to say about any of these, so it's going to be a quick rundown here. The Jets hired defensive coordinator Steve Wilks, so Aaron Glenn brings in Steve Wilks to be a part of his staff. The Bears got both of their coordinators sorted out. They hired Broncos tight end coach Declan Doyle as offensive coordinator. And if you're wondering, I know I just said I'm not going to talk a lot about these, but tight end coaches is like the hot new thing. Tight end coaches are the guys you want as your offensive coordinators right now. And the idea is that tight end coaches are very involved in the mixture of run and pass in an offense, and they understand the balance that you need, and they also understand offensive line as well as the run game and all that stuff. So tight end coaches are where it's at right now. It's, Sean McVay, tight end coach with the Redskins. You got Ben Johnson was a tight end coach when Dan Campbell put him at OC. Number of other head coaches around the league were tight end coaches. Now OCs didn't get to head coaching. So Declan Doyle, potentially the next one of them. And then the Bears hired Dennis Allen to be their defensive coordinator, which I also love because young head coaches tend to be a lot more successful when they bring in coordinators with head coaching experience. And that's exactly what this move is, bring in Dennis Allen. Yes, he was only a head coach for a couple of years, but you at least bring in somebody that knows what it's like to be in that position, and that helps you out tremendously. So good hires, in my eyes, by Ben Johnson for his staff. The Cowboys did the same thing. They hired a former head coach as their DC for Schottenheimer, and it's Matt Eberflus. I didn't think he'd be on the market long. He obviously was not, and I think this is a good spot for him. You obviously are just hoping and praying that things get sorted out with Micah Parsons and hope that he's still there to work with. But, there's a lot to look forward to on the Cowboys defense, and with Matt Eberflus at the helm, I think he's going to maybe be pretty successful. Lions also figured out their coordinators. Both of them obviously had to be replaced with Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson leaving. They hired Broncos passing game coordinator John Morton to be their OC, and they promoted their linebackers coach Kelvin Shepard to defensive coordinator. Obviously, I don't know much about these guys, but passing game was pretty good in Denver, in my opinion. So it seems like a good hire to me at OC. And then, of course, the Lions' defense is phenomenal. So anybody involved there deserves their credit. 49ers bringing back Robert Saleh to reclaim his role at defensive coordinator. I don't love this for Robert Saleh's future, necessarily. I feel like you should go out and do your own thing. Don't go crawling back to the guy that gave you a shot. I don't love that move necessarily. But he's a good defensive coordinator. He was great in San Francisco, so I don't blame Kyle Shanahan for bringing him back. I just think for Saleh's future, it doesn't look as good. Seahawks hire Saints offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak as their offensive coordinator to replace Ryan Grubb.
Is he kin to Gary Kubiak?
Yes, he is the son of Gary Kubiak.
That's cool.
Yeah, a lot of coaching sons around the league. Obviously, Brian Schottenheimer, Clint Kubiak, number of them. Colts hired the former Bengals DC Lou Anarumo to be their defensive coordinator. Sure, I guess. And then the Browns, final ones I've got. The Browns promoted Tommy Rees from passing game coordinator to offensive coordinator. Tommy Rees, most notably, he was a quarterback at Notre Dame, offensive coordinator at Notre Dame under Brian Kelly, and then spent 1 year as the offensive coordinator at Alabama with Nick Saban. This isn't coordinator news, but Chuck Pagano got brought on to the Ravens staff, senior secondary coach. Shout out Chuck Pagano getting back in the game after a couple years of retirement, a couple years on the Pat McAfee show. Which, by the way, Chuck Pagano on the Pat McAfee show is pure comedy. He is fucking hilarious on there.
Yeah.
But Chuck Pagano, actually, his first big job was, I believe, defensive coordinator on John Harbaugh's first staff in Baltimore. That's what got him the Colts head coaching job and all the jobs that ensued for him. So shout out to Chuck Pagano. Getting back in the game. Got a couple Pro Bowl things that I want to hit on just before we move on to the MLB. Big things is just some replacements that kind of caught me by surprise. A couple of them just make sense. And also I have a couple snubs at the end I want to talk about. First one, in the AFC, your three quarterbacks were Allen, Jackson, and Burrow. Makes sense. Totally makes sense.
You say
Allen,
Alan Jackson's a Pro Bowl quarterback?
yes, Allen Jackson, country music idol. Allen Jackson is
Shout
a
out
Pro Bowler.
Noonan, Georgia.
Yes, shout out to Noonan, Georgia. The replacements for Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are Drake May and Russell Wilson. Russ, I can live with. Sure. Drake May is kind of crazy. Particularly over one person, that being Bo Nix. Like, I'm sure Herbert opted out. I'm sure they asked Herbert if he wanted to do it. He said no. I'm sure they asked Stroud. He probably said no. And I'm sure Aaron Rodgers said no. Why would Bo Nix have said no? That's what I can't figure out. It makes me think that they really did just pick Drake May and Russell Wilson over Bo Nix, which is kind of crazy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I'd like to assume everybody else declined. That's why Drake May's there, because I got to be honest, he just is not. He's not a Pro Bowl quarterback. He was not a Pro Bowl quarterback this season at all. Shout out to the Tyler Huntley to the world, though.
Yeah, that was still wild.
Yeah, to this day, it's crazy. Zay Flowers is going to be sitting out, so he got replaced by Brian Thomas Jr., very deserving of a Pro Bowl spot. Love to see that he made it in. And then you've got Jaden Daniels will be replaced by Baker Mayfield on the NFC team. Jaden Daniels didn't want to play.
Nice.
Bijan Robinson will replace Saquon instead of Kyron Williams, who would probably would have thought could have gotten a spot as a running back. Kyron had a very good season, but I obviously, as biased as I can ever be, am extremely glad that Bijan Robinson got some credit here and will replace Saquon. But I do understand the fact that Kyron Williams had a very good running season as well.
Did you see that Khalil Mack is getting replaced by Joey Bosa?
Yes.
They definitely talked about that. Khalil Mack was
Definitely.
like, "Hey man, do you want to go?" It's like Joey was like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah, Khalil Mack was like, why the fuck would I go to the Pro Bowl in Orlando? Why is it in Orlando? Send it back to Hawaii
man.
every year.
Yeah,
That
the
will
Hawaii
literally
one's always the
make
best.
players want to play in it.
Yes.
3 of the 4 wide receivers in the NFC, or maybe it's all 3. I don't know how many there are. None of those 4. One of them is Justin Jefferson, who's actually going. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, and Terry McLaurin all sitting out. Those 3 are replaced by Malik Neighbors, Mike Evans, and JSN. Perfect.
Don't mind that.
Perfect picks across the board, in my opinion. I don't think you could have gone anywhere else with those 3 picks. Mike Evans didn't play a lot of games, still got the numbers. I'll give him his credit. Biggest snubs that didn't end up finding a spot as a replacement. Obviously, the biggest one is Patrick Mahomes. I'm sure it wasn't even worth asking because he's playing in the Super Bowl. So don't sweat that one. I'm sure Nick Wright is somewhere like freaking the fuck out that Patrick Mahomes isn't in the Pro Bowl. And then let's see. Yeah, so biggest snubs in my eyes, my top 3, Kirby Joseph got snubbed. Definitely should have been there for the Lions. Kind of weird thing is that Brian Branch is more of the free safety there, in my opinion. He plays a little bit of strong safety, mainly the free safety. And he made it in as a strong safety over Kirby Joseph. Kind of weird to me. And then
I'm
Zach,
fine with Kirby Joseph not being in there.
well, I don't know. He had a very good season. I know he injured a lot of people.
The knee capper.
Yeah. Zach Allen from the Broncos, huge snub. Absolutely phenomenal season for Zach Allen on the defensive line. But also, it was just like the defensive line was stacked in the AFC, so I can't really blame him for that. I'm not really sure why you just went so out of focus on your camera.
Oh wow, I just noticed that. That's weird.
Yeah, it does have an autofocus feature, so you might need to piddle around with that. I don't know. You're still out of focus. Very weird. But And the last one, also probably a little bit biased, Caden Ellis. I think he got absolutely snubbed. Linebacker. There we go. I think we're good. Yeah, there we go. I think Caden Ellis got absolutely snubbed. It's just a phenomenal season, but also middle linebacker stacked in the NFC. So I also, don't blame them for him not making it in. But I do think he had a phenomenal year and deserves some credit. That's all I've got for the Pro Bowl.
What about Danielle Hunter?
Yeah, Danielle Hunter, he got in as a replacement for somebody. I don't know who's replacing, but he ended up getting in.
He replaced Mad Max.
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah. They couldn't have gotten defensive ends better. I mean, they chose Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, and Max Crosby, and then Max Crosby's getting replaced by Danielle Hunter. That's like perfect. Those would probably have been my guys.
Yeah. So. Yeah. At first, I thought they left out TJ, but he's in outside linebackers, I think.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
I don't think they missed a lot of people, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I think it's a little. I mean, I respect Jerry Jeudy getting in because he had a crazy career turning around season with Cleveland. But I feel like you could have found a better wide receiver there.
Yeah, the AFC was kind of weird because some of
what about Ladd McConkey?
Yeah, definitely deserving of it as well. But I think the AFC was really weird when it came to they weren't really putting up the same kind of numbers in the AFC at wide receiver. Like the NFC wide receivers were pretty undoubtable. It was Justin Jefferson had a great year. Jamar Chase was Jamar Chase was in the AFC, so he was a pretty obvious pick there. But in the NFC, Justin Jefferson, St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, other than Malik Neighbors, who ended up getting in as a replacement, I couldn't think of somebody else that deserved to be there in that top 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
Made the most sense to me. But enough Pro Bowl, because it's a useless event anyway. The only reason the Pro Bowl is worth talking about is because it's a number that people will talk about at the end of your career. That's it in my eyes. Yeah. So we will move on. We gave that more attention than it probably deserved. And we'll head over to the MLB. Got a couple of offseason moves to talk about. The Kirby Yates deal, finally official. I think we talked about it last week. Finally went official. 1 year, $13 million. I think there's an incentive that could get him up to $14 million this year. But yeah, the Dodgers just sign whoever the fuck they want, I guess. Their bullpen is unbelievable with the moves they've made. Pitching staff in general, just unreal for the Dodgers. Crazy. I love this move by the Tigers, picking up Tommy Kahnle on a 1 year, $7.75 million deal. Not bad payment whatsoever. You pick up a veteran reliever, pretty solid arm. I've never really seen him. Yeah, never really seen Tommy Kahnle play exceptionally bad for a stretch. He'll have a game every now and then, but he's a pretty consistent guy.
Yeah, he's got a really good, really underrated changeup too.
Great changeup
among the rest of the league. I feel
great changeup.
It's really good.
The Rays signed Ha-Seong Kim to a 2 year, $29 million deal. Love to see that he got a bag. You don't really see the utility infielders get a bag like this. Really happy to see Ha-Seong Kim get some love because he defensively had an unbelievable year, and offensively looked pretty good. Can't knock him at all. So I really like Ha-Seong Kim. Luke did have a bit of a a mix up. I think what happened is a few weeks ago when Ha-Seong Kim signed to the Dodgers, you texted me and you were like, Kim to the Dodgers. And I was like, okay, yeah, that must be Ha-Seong Kim. That would just make sense. They're looking for an infielder or whatever. I look it up. It's Ha-Seong Kim who is coming over from the KBO. And I was like, all right, cool. I never cleared it up with you at all.
Yeah.
and then I texted you, the Rays got Ha-Seong Kim. You're like, sure it wasn't the Dodgers. And I was like, nope, it was not. But also, nothing would surprise me. The Dodgers have been signing everybody. So it's just a safe assumption that if anybody's wrong, it's whoever said that the player didn't go to the Dodgers.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Royals made a fantastic move that I absolutely love. They signed Carlos Estevez, formerly of the Angels. Love him as an option in the bullpen, either as the setup man or as the closer. I think he's going to be so good in Kansas City. Love what Kansas City's continuing to build there. Love it. Reds made a trade to acquire Taylor Rogers from the Giants in exchange for right-handed pitcher Braxton Roxby. Another guy, probably a 7th, 8th inning guy to add to the bullpen. I like it. I believe Taylor's the twin that has the low arm angle. Could be Trevor, Taylor, and Tyler. Is it Taylor and Tyler? Trevor Rogers is a different guy. Taylor Rogers throws over the top. Tyler Rogers. I don't fucking know, dude. There's too many fucking names. All I know is that Taylor Rogers is the one that throws over the top because I just looked him up and he was throwing over the top. So the Reds bring in Taylor Rogers to add to their bullpen. I took these notes last night. The Blue Jays were currently the most serious suitor for Max Scherzer. They signed Max Scherzer like an hour and a half ago. So
did they really?
Yes, the Blue Jays.
See that.
The Blue Jays got Max Scherzer. Wow. I might as well pull up Jeff Passan's Twitter while I'm at it. Just make sure we didn't miss anything else. Let's see. Yeah, Max Scherzer to the Blue Jays, $15.5 million, 1 year. I like it. I really do.
Still getting bags.
Yeah. And that, if he looks good, it's a really good rotation the Blue Jays have rolling.
No, it's not.
It is.
I disagree because it won't look good.
Oh, I'm sure it won't. But on paper, it's gonna look damn good.
On paper, it's looked good for like 13 years.
And it just got better on paper. Until you realize that like Max Scherzer is like 41 years old. And hasn't pitched in like a year and a half.
Yeah, no, I mean they still, like you said, on paper they have Manoah, who we've seen be good before.
Don't even bring up Manoah.
Are we
Jose Barrios,
there,
Kevin
right?
Gausman?
Yeah,
those are the headliners at least. Is Chris Bassett still there?
Know.
Yeah, Chris Bassett had a very good season, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the year before he had a better season. I don't know. I think it's a pretty good rotation on paper. You just with the Blue Jays, there's two teams where you just have to like wait and see, and it's the Blue Jays and the Mariners. In my opinion, whatever you see preseason, don't believe yet. With those two franchises in particular, you just gotta wait and see. That's what I'm doing with the Blue Jays. I'm waiting and seeing. We only have like one rumor that's even gotten like brought up. Like when I say like there has not been much going on, there has not been anything. Like it seems like every day the only rumor is just the same rumor every day, and it's just about Nolan Arenado. That's all anybody cares about is Nolan Arenado. The biggest thing I'm watching is the Padres situation as this offseason comes to a close. They've pretty much got to trade off some people to address some needs because they've got a lot of needs and not a lot of money to spend. And you've got like 14, 13 million a year tied up in Dylan Cease and Luis Arias, who both will be free agents at the end of this coming season. You've also got like $9 million this year tied to Michael King, who's going to be a free agent next year. Any of those three guys, I could see them trading off. King is going to be easier to get rid of for sure. But Cease, you could bring in a solid package for. Arias, I think it's harder to lose him, but it's easier to probably trade him off because I think there's a lot of teams that could just use a guy that gets on base. I think a lot of teams are looking for that. So all three of those guys have the potential. The Cubs look like a team that are in on Cease. And look, the Cubs, if they make another move, man, you're going to have to start believing in them.
I am so excited for the Cubs, dude.
Yeah.
So excited.
Another interesting thing that just kind of hit my feed here. The Reds talked to the White Sox about a trade for Luis Robert, but moved on after they couldn't come to an agreement on players. Interesting.
Huh.
Yeah, so what happened is as soon as that trade didn't happen, Cincinnati immediately went out and signed Austin Hayes on Tuesday. I didn't even see that deal happened. Austin Hayes to the Reds. There you go. 1 year, $5 million. So that one's kind of interesting. This one, not really a rumor. Yankees still looking for an infielder. That's all it is. But it does say that neither Bregman nor Arenado are currently on the team's radar. So that's nothing new, but definitely interesting.
Yeah. The Steinbrenners can continue to sit on their fat stacks of mob money and just watch the Dodgers just spend and spend and spend.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Look, the Dodgers are simply just testing the MLB. There's
testing
a new
my patience is what they're doing.
No, they're testing the league. They're testing to see how hard they can push against the league and also against the Players Association, because in 2027 the CBA expires. The salary cap is going to be the biggest conversation topic with that CBA, and I'm going to go ahead and say right now on January 30th at 7:15 p.m. we are going to see a lockout over this salary cap because of what the Dodgers are doing. I can almost count on the fact the start of the 2027 or 2028 season, whichever one is affected by that, will be delayed because of a lockout, because the two sides will not be on the same page whatsoever about the salary cap. And you're not going to be able to get all the teams on the same page either.
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue, because the Dodgers and the Mets and all the players don't want there to be a salary cap. But if there is a salary cap and it forces the Dodgers to start getting rid of players over the next couple of years, you're going to see, I don't know about a competitive balance, but like there will be a new allotment of talent across the league. I'll say it that way, because I don't know if it necessarily balances the competitiveness of the league, because like the NBA has a salary cap. But, like, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious who's good and who's not. And the same with the NFL. Shit, half the teams in the NFL that have salary cap issues suck dick. Like the Saints. Mm-hmm. The Saints have, like, the worst salary cap issue in the league, and they just fired their head coach. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. So, yeah, look, the salary cap is not a perfect solution to anything, but this bullshit luxury tax that you're trying to roll with, where you're just taking draft picks away from teams that are just like, well, fuck a draft pick. I don't need a first rounder. I'll just trade for him later. I'll just trade for him, or I'll sign him in his first free agency, and it'll be fine. So yeah, look, the Dodgers are testing people, and the deferred money, I think, is a big thing that will most likely get stopped. Deferring money like they're doing, I think, will be limited in some form. Because, look, like I said, the Dodgers are testing everybody in every facet. If they go out and win one or two more World Series before that CBA is up, there's going to be an uprising. Yeah. We might just miss a whole fucking season till that CBA is figured out, honestly.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
Oh my god,
it'd be wild.
It would be ridiculous. But yeah, a lot to be figured out with the MLB and that CBA. But we're gonna wrap things up for the MLB here and shift our focus over to the Premier League. where we've got, I wouldn't say a fantastic weekend of matchups. There's a lot of matchups that are just like interesting. A lot of spots in the table that are interesting to talk about. You have some teams that have been pretty active in the January transfer window that might be fun to talk about. But I think what we're going to look at mostly is kind of this battle between the teams that have been performing really well and the teams that are on good form. And then the other one other matchup is a battle between a team that is on horrendous form and a team that's looking to get back in form. We'll start with a team that's on great form, maybe the best form in the league, going up against a team that's kind of on the slide right now, despite the fact they're number one. Bournemouth and Liverpool is an extremely exciting matchup to look forward to this weekend. Not just because Liverpool's in a weird spot. Sorry to kind of step on you there. Not just because Liverpool's in an odd spot right now, but because Bournemouth is playing some of the best soccer in the league right now.
Yeah, it's insane. They're honestly their last fives are like pretty similar. You got 2 draws and 3 wins. Yeah, Liverpool's been in a weird spot, man. It's not they're not like necessarily hitting bad form. They're still not losing. It's just the rest of the league is kind of starting to make that margin a little bit smaller as far as catching them.
They still have that game though.
Pretty interesting. They still have that game. Yeah, Bournemouth's been on fire, and they need to make this season count before Dean Housen is sold off for like 75 million euros to La Liga. But it's going to be a really good game, really really good game. I don't really know what to think, but I think as most people, I'm kind of leaning more towards a Liverpool win.
Dude, there's something about these last 2 from Bournemouth that I'm sold on. 4-1 over Newcastle and 5-0 over Nottingham Forest is ridiculous. That's literally top 5 teams right now. That's 2 of the top 5. And you just shithouse them. Like, absolutely fucked them up. And not even, like, Newcastle at St. James Park, where over the last 3 seasons, Newcastle has been unbelievably good at home. And you go to St. James Park and you put up 4 on them. But 5-0 over Nottingham Forest is like unbelievable. Truly an unbelievable result against the Nottingham Forest team that going into that match had only allowed 22 goals this season. To put up 5 on them is crazy. And the Bournemouth defense also stepping up as well. Like stopping Nottingham Forest too. Now they're not a great goal scoring team, but they stopped Nottingham Forest pretty well.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest. I mean, they haven't been beaten like that all season, and it came at the hands of Bournemouth too. So it's really interesting results. And if you want to go back another game, they tied 2-2 against Chelsea, who at the time were a top 5 team. So Bournemouth really are just more and more as the weeks go on, proving why they probably deserve to be in that top 5 as of now.
They're flying.
They are absolutely flying. Yeah.
In a win here, huge points-wise. I mean, Manchester City, we're going to talk about this match. Manchester City's going up against Arsenal. They're only a point ahead of you. Newcastle's going up against Fulham, and Newcastle's been on odd form, I would say. Obviously, the loss to Bournemouth kind of is what throws off their form. They figured things out against Southampton, but who hasn't? So, like, Newcastle's a team that, could potentially not get a result they're looking for against Fulham. And then Chelsea right ahead of you, Chelsea even on points with you, ahead of you in goal differential, which actually their goal differential is exactly the same. It's just Chelsea has more goals for. But West Ham, probably, Chelsea's probably going to beat West Ham. But Bournemouth has a chance to jump all the way up to 4th, potentially, more realistically 5th this week, with even just 1 point. Could technically get them into 6th place. Like, a lot could happen here, and even just getting 1 point for Bournemouth could prove huge.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely. For Liverpool, 3 more points will just continue to make things easier. You've got a 6-point advantage on Arsenal in a game in hand, and it's against Everton. So once that game comes around, let's just go ahead and give them the 9-point advantage in the league.
Yeah. I don't know. Merseyside derby. Who knows?
That is fair. That is fair. But and Everton have won 2 straight. 2 straight against 2 teams in maybe some of the like weirdest form in the league, Brighton and Tottenham. but
Dude.
But just watch out. Watch out. But I'm going to go ahead and just give Liverpool the 9-point advantage. Everybody needs Liverpool to drop points, and Bournemouth is just a heat-seeking missile right now.
Yeah.
And they would be the perfect team to knock them off their form. And you also saw Liverpool take kind of a rest day and take the loss against PSV in the Champions League, which they still won the league. Spoiler, if you were waiting until we were going to talk about it. But Liverpool still won the league phase, which means nothing. They just get like extra, like more bonus money than everybody else behind them. But they kind of took a rest day, and maybe that affects their form. Not everybody played. They weren't really trying. They lose. Maybe that affects them a little bit, but I don't know. I think on the Bournemouth side, I'd love to say they can win. On the Liverpool side, in my eyes, the worst case scenario is a draw. They're just that good.
Yeah.
They really are.
I agree. Man, I don't know. After this discussion, I kind of want to go. I'll go 2-2 draw.
Same thing. I had the exact same thing in my mind. Both these teams are scoring goals. That's not a problem. And it doesn't matter whose defense it is because Bournemouth has proved that. I think we're gonna agree on that one. 2-2 draw. Now let's go down to the middle / the bottom of the table. Brentford and Tottenham are both in odd spots. Brentford, their form is weird as shit.
Kind of falling.
What?
I said they're kind of falling.
Yes, they are.
Form that they've had.
A little bit. Like as we've talked about, they've been all over the place. It was like, wins against the bad teams and losses against the good teams, but the wins were at home and the losses were on the road, and it was just a mess. And now they've reached a point in their schedule where they're playing good teams and bad teams, and they're losing to the good teams, and they're beating the bad teams, which is what a middle-of-the-table team should do. Tottenham, on the other end, has lost 4 straight, and they have not won a match since December 15th against Southampton. The last time they won a match against a team that was not at fucking 6 points in almost February was on November 23rd, and they thrashed Man City 4-0.
Yeah.
If Ange isn't fired yet, what the fuck is it going to take?
Dude, if this was Chelsea, Ange would have been gone like December 16th after the first loss.
Yeah. Like, I don't get, like, when Ten Hag was on the hot seat, actually, right after he got sacked, I said Ange is the next one, and they've been dog shit since, and he still hasn't gotten fired.
See, and the thing is, too, like, in this losing streak for Tottenham, it's obviously horrible, but they're still competitive.
Yes.
It's just they are finding themselves at the wrong end of every single result, and it's gotten bad. I think I don't know if you can say the same thing, but I feel like in our lifetime, this is the worst we've ever seen Tottenham.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
15th is insane.
It's ridiculous.
And I don't know, like, obviously as a Chelsea fan, like, Tottenham being bad is just, like, so much fun.
I'm sure.
But I really hate it for players like Heung-min Son, who's been nothing but just a gracious,
James
leader
Maddison
of this team.
Too.
When Heung-min Son joined Tottenham, he had never won a trophy, and he still hasn't won a trophy. But I mean, he's stuck with them, and it's just been it's been brutal. But yeah,
should have held out at Leverkusen.
Insane. Yeah,
things would have turned around.
For Xabi Alonso.
Yeah. See, and with Tottenham's form, I can excuse the 2-1 to Newcastle. I can excuse 2-1 to Arsenal. 3-2 to Everton and 2-1 to Leicester in back-to-back weekends is fucking pitiful.
Yeah.
Just shouldn't be there. And now Tottenham finds themselves a point ahead of Everton and 2 places ahead of Leicester. And Leicester's only here because they somehow scratched up the win against Tottenham last week. Like, Leicester was in fucking relegation. They were in 19th place.
Yeah.
And that win against Tottenham took them out of that hole. Tottenham is literally losing to the worst of the worst right now, and it's put them as one of the worst in the league because of it. I simply can't pick their way. I have to go with Brentford in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna go 1-0 Brentford.
I'm gonna go 2-0 Brentford. Actually, I'm gonna go 2-1. That seems to be Tottenham's favorite result as of recent. 2-1.
Yeah.
They're still scoring goals. Haven't been held scoreless. In since Boxing Day. Haven't been held scoreless, and that was against Nottingham Forest. So yeah, I'm gonna go 2-1.
Yeah, the thing is, too, is
Brentford.
Tottenham are the only team from 12th to 20th that have a positive goal differential.
Yeah,
as well.
And also, they've scored 46 fucking goals,
which is a lot.
It's astounding. It's third in the league.
Third in the league.
In the league, and they're in fucking 15th place. And 37 allowed isn't like egregious. They just can't win.
That's a lot, though.
They just can't win.
Yeah, 46 goals, none of them from Richarlison.
Yes. But don't worry, he's back.
Yeah, he's back.
He's back. All right, final match of the week we're covering Arsenal-Man City. Obviously, a huge match at the top of the table. Man City finding their stride again in the Premier League. Champions League is another thing we'll talk about. They scraped by. Arsenal, kind of weird form with the 2 draws in there with Brighton and Aston Villa. But look, they're winning games that they need to win. Maybe not the cleanest way we've seen them do it, but like the Arsenal's fine. I'm not worried at all about their form right now.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about Manchester City because I'm very hesitant to say that they've turned their season around, but at the same time, it's kind of looking that way.
Yeah,
yeah. They're getting some form. Obviously, their win against Chelsea was a pretty good win to go 1-0 down and then just go 3 goals unanswered. That was a good game for them. I mean, Chelsea were pretty much defending the entire time in that game, which was really sad to watch, but good if you were Manchester City. And then on the other hand, Arsenal's just, kind of been Arsenal. Still looking for their striker. Still kind of proving that they don't really need one, but it would be nice to have one. So yeah, I really, this game I feel like could go either way. It's going to be a good matchup.
Yeah, that's kind of my ideas with it as well. I think the thing that sticks out to me the most is just that Man City is scoring a lot of goals right now. The offense has figured something out here. And I don't know. It's weird. I think Man City has the potential in any game right now to just go out and just look great, look like Man City. But at the same time, Arsenal is a very good team. And even if Man City were at the peak of their powers this season, I'd still call this a competitive matchup. But they haven't been, and I think that makes me favor Arsenal just a little bit more.
Yeah, and on top of that, Arsenal's gone 3 games in a row. 2 games before their Champions League game against Girona where they got clean sheets. Then again, against Wolves and Dinamo Zagreb. But, maybe the defense is there to stop Manchester City. Yeah. So I'm probably going to take Arsenal. I'm going to go 2-0.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to actually go with a 1-1 draw.
Okay.
What kind of sucks is neither of these teams want to draw here with the positions they find themselves in, but I do see it potentially happening. So I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw there. The rest of the fixtures, though, not like anything too horrible. I think where teams are at in the table right now, there's some good matchups. Nottingham Forest, Brighton, not too bad of a matchup to look out for. Bournemouth, Liverpool. Then you got Everton, Leicester. Both teams right there at the edge of the relegation zone. Then you got Ipswich and Southampton, bottom 2 teams in the table right now. Obviously, Southampton leaps and bounds worse than anybody in the league. If there was a 21st place, they'd be in it. If there was a 30th place, they'd be in it. They're that bad. But Southampton there, and Ipswich might be fun to watch. They've had a lot of transfers in and loanees come in. in this January transfer window that I think we might see in action this weekend, maybe next weekend. You got Newcastle, Fulham, Wolves, and Aston Villa. Not a great matchup, but that one's going to be on NBC Sports, in case anybody's wondering. Sunday, you got Brentford, Spurs, Manchester United, Crystal Palace. Teams back-to-back on the table right now. And then you have Arsenal, Man City. And then Monday, you've got Chelsea and West Ham. We got some midweek. We've got that makeup match midweek, Everton and Liverpool. So everybody will have the same amount of matches played after Wednesday afternoon. So rest assured, it will be settled. Every time we talk about Liverpool, we won't have to talk about that game in hand anymore. That will be nice.
And I'm not going to lie, as a Chelsea fan going into the game against West Ham, I do not like playing West Ham where we're at right now. You know, London Derby, we're off form. They're shit as well, but I feel like it's like a Steelers versus Cleveland game. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I could see it going kind of bad for Chelsea. I'm not going to lie.
You guys also got railed on the schedule. You're the only team that plays on Monday and the only team that plays on Friday.
Damn.
Oh, wait, sorry. They're off next weekend. I forgot about that.
Oh, well, that would do it.
So you guys have a pretty good break in between those matches. Forgot about that.
We're also not in Europe, too, so we don't have any midweek shit. Unless the FA Cup comes back.
Conference League.
Oh, I forgot about the Conference League.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. Right. You guys don't have a Conference League match until February 13th. Which is the day before that match with Brighton on that Friday.
Oh, nice.
So that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Wait, you guys might not be playing that one. You guys might not be playing that one. I think you guys got the automatic bye, maybe. Sorry.
I mean, we could play that one. We could field probably like 4 different starting 11s, so
Let me check this out real quick. I want to get to the bottom of this before we talk Champions League. Last thing I need is Conference League on my mind before we get into the Champions League. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Yeah, knockout round playoff. Wait, what the fuck? The Conference League sucks. Okay. Yeah, you guys aren't playing that day. I'll tell you that much. That's all I can say with certainty. You aren't playing that day before. All right. Let's move on to the Champions League. Why don't we?
Let's do it.
I kind of put down like a bit of just like a brief recap, and then, we can revisit things as we need. But I'm just gonna kind of quickly talk about my thoughts on this final match day, and then kind of talk about some of the different implications that we had throughout here. I think the viewing experience as a soccer casual, I guess I would consider myself, was it was entertaining. I got home at halftime. I turned on the Golasso show because there wasn't a particular match I wanted to watch necessarily. Turned on the Golasso show on Paramount Plus, which is essentially Red Zone for the Champions League. They do it every week. They also do it for Europa League as well. Shout out.
They do live coverage of every game?
Oh, yeah.
Kate, Micah.
Not Kate.
And Thierry Henry.
No, so I think this was a special version of it. So the Golasso show, I believe it's typically, I think his name is Nico Cantor, who's a part of, I think, Morning Footy is the other show he does for the Golasso Network.
Okay.
And he's great. I believe he's Argentinian. And he does a fantastic job covering this stuff. I think he typically does it with other people for this, but I think because it was the final match week, they all did it. They did it with him, Thierry Henry, Carragher, and Micah. And it was awesome, especially with, Micah sweating out the Manchester City match, and then Jamie trying to see if Liverpool was going to finish top of the table because them and Barca were flip-flopping throughout the day. But I only watched the second half. I thought it was fun from the perspective of somebody that wanted to see goals, Want to see how the table changed as things happened. I also think it was just a bit much as a viewer. There's definitely a sense of just too many things happening all at once, and at times things were unclear. I think it struggled with the fact where Red Zone gets it right, because Red Zone only does it during the 1 o'clock and the 4 o'clock games on a Sunday. And so, like, there can only be so many games going on. And they're also not the most important games necessarily at all times. All of these games, for the most part, were important. There's 18 of them going on at the same time, and there happened to have been a ton of things going on all in these second halves. So, there was times where it was like, okay, this team goes up. They score a goal. They show that goal. Okay, let's go to this different stadium. Okay, nothing happened. Let's go back. Oh, shit, there's a penalty in this other game that literally just got equalized. Now there's going to be a goal scored here. Okay, let's go to the next game while we wait on that. Oh, that penalty got taken away. Like, all this different shit going on at the same time was just really hard to keep up with. And I think the crew handled it well. It was just hard as a viewer to really keep up with things. Like, the most important match that was, clear cut, each side's outcome, Man City and Club Brugge. That one was comfortably settled when Man City went up 2 goals with 15 minutes left. And as time winded down, Club Brugge had also secured their safety with Sporting's draw and Stuttgart's loss. They were locked in for their spot too. So there was just no stress for like the last 10 minutes of the match. And it made like the final 15 minutes of that were boring as shit across the board. Because it was just like, all right, everybody's done. Like, there wasn't a ton of late goals. There wasn't any stunners. Like, it just kind of got boring there right at the end, and I was hoping for more. So that kind of ruined some things. But we did have some great matches with big implications. But I think as a whole, it didn't necessarily live up to the hype. Like, only 2 teams dropped out of the top 8. You only had, like, 1 or 2 teams that maybe not even that should have been making it in. They ended up getting eliminated, or should have been eliminated that made it in. Like, it didn't move around as much as you would have hoped on the extreme ends, but in the middle, certainly a ton of movement. So I'm going to run through a bunch of them. Let me take a sip of water here before I continue. Sorry, it was a lot of talking there. All right. We'll start off here. Dinamo Zagreb needed to make up a 6-goal difference in order to overtake Club Brugge and stay alive. But despite the fact that they did not do that, they did beat AC Milan 2-1, which knocked Milan out of the top 8 and all the way down to 13. Because of that loss, the goal differential got screwed. I'll talk about some of the teams that jumped above them with their big wins that totally screwed AC Milan out of a spot. But Dinamo Zagreb, despite the fact that they would have had to had a miracle to end up making it in, still played their hearts out and got a big win over AC Milan, who could have used that win for sure and totally skipped the first round. Then Atalanta's draw with Barcelona left Atalanta out of the top 8, despite only losing 1 match in the league phase. Atalanta does not get a first-round bye. They will be playing in the playoff, and it left Barcelona in second place getting that draw. If Barca would have got the win, they would have overtaken Liverpool for the top bid, but instead Liverpool get the top despite their loss to PSV. Atleti, one of the best stories in the league phase this year. After having just 3 points after match day 3, they won in match day 1, they lost 2 and 3. They win their last 5 matches and finish 5th in the table. A fantastic turnaround for Atleti. Inter, they scored more than 1 goal for just the second time in this league phase. In a 3-0 win over Monaco to secure 4th place. Yes. Fantastic stuff. And also, I'll be honest, Lautaro, 2 of them tap-ins off deflections from the keeper. So, yes, it was a Lautaro Martinez hat trick, and he certainly could have used the confidence boost because he just now got to like 15 goals scored this season. But yes, a big win for Inter. It's just kind of crazy. They lost like 1 match and drew one match in this entire league phase, I think, and only scored more than one goal twice. A lot of 1-0 wins for them. Lille, utter dominance over Feyenoord, which got the French side an automatic bid to the round of 16, while Feyenoord had a big drop and dropped into that unseeded portion of the table. So they're going to be on the road in a really difficult spot in that playoff. And then you had Villa taking care of business over Celtic. That gave Villa the last of the bids straight to the round of 16, while Celtic had a big drop in the table. PSV's win over Liverpool was ever important, giving them 14th place and also giving the final unbeaten team in Liverpool their only loss of the campaign. So nobody finishes unbeaten in the league phase because of that PSV win over Liverpool. And by the way, I can't remember the name of the guy who got the red card in that Liverpool match. But he's like 18 years old, 19 years old, made his Champions League debut in garbage time. And 5 minutes after he comes on, just an unfortunate, he didn't realize that the guy was even there and stuck his leg out to try and stop the ball and just kicked him in the balls, essentially.
That would be maybe seventh best player in the world, Amara Nalo.
Yes.
Liverpool, so
yeah, shout out to him. But tough for a guy's confidence. You make your Champions League debut and you get you get sent off on just an unfortunate play. You had Benfica, a 2-0 win over Juve, and PSG's 4-1 win over Stuttgart. Both of those ever important for goal differential because Monaco and Brest both fall 3-0 in their last matches, leaving them into the unseeded group, while Benfica and PSG take those seeded places in the playoff round. So those matchups that they played, absolutely huge when it came to the goal differential and how that shifted. So Brest, after a miracle start, ends up in one of the unseeded spots. Same for Monaco. Two teams that were in the top three, I think, halfway through, and find themselves in a tough spot now. Being unseated in this draw that will be happening at 6 a.m. the morning that you guys hear this.
Yeah, imagine the League One teams just being inconsistent.
Who would have guessed?
Yeah. Hey, it was fun while it lasted, though, especially for Brest.
Yeah, and Lille still looks really good.
Lille fucking murdered Feyenoord.
Yeah, 6-1, brutal, and like multiple goals like in succession in that second half.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Wild.
I want to. That's all I've got for that. So I do want to quickly just bring up these like potential matchups that we'll see. We do have the potential for a all French matchup. There's 3 French teams in one of the groupings. It's kind of odd. I don't really get the table just yet. I think once the draw happens, I'll get it. Right now, It makes fucking no sense to me. But I'll go through these potential matchups for us. So, if it'll fucking load, come on. Let's go. All right, here we go. So, you're going to have either Monaco or Brest taking on either PSG or Benfica. So it's odd. So, like, the way that they were showing it, like, on the broadcast and stuff, was like, there's 2 possible matchups with these 4 teams. So only the 4 teams I'm going to say can match up. But 2 of them won't play each other. 2 of them won't play each other. It's hard to explain. Just take my word for it. Monaco will play either PSG or Benfica, and Brest will play either PSG or Benfica. I don't know how else to say it to where it makes sense. It's very odd. Sporting or Club Brugge will be playing against either Atalanta or Borussia Dortmund. Celtic or Man City will be playing against Real Madrid or Bayern. So Man City guaranteed to play either Real Madrid or Bayern in the knockout stage, which is fun, very fun. And then Celtic will play the other. Feyenoord or Juventus will play AC Milan or PSV. So we have the potential here for a Dutch matchup and an Italian matchup, which would be awesome. otherwise, I still think we get good matchups out of either possibility here,
Yeah,
which
for
I am
sure.
excited for. But that's all the potential matchups there. It's kind of weird. Like I said, and like things just the bracket's hard to look at until this draw happens. Is kind of the gist of things here. Until this draw happens, the bracket is a little bit hard to read. But that's what I've got for Champions League. Anything that you had of note from these matches that I might have missed on there?
I have one thing. I have a pronunciation for the actual name of Red Star Belgrade.
Is it
Finally,
Cervena Zvezda?
no, you don't pronounce the Z
Oh,
in the second name, so it's Cervena Vezda.
nice. Well,
Cervena Vezda.
fun
Yeah,
fact as well. Club Bruges, also sometimes referred to as Club Brugge.
I don't like that.
Yeah, me neither. I'm sticking to Bruges, and I'll be honest.
Yeah,
They kept saying the guy on the Golasso show kept saying Club Brugge. Thierry Henry was just still calling him Club Bruges. I'm going with the guy that speaks French.
makes sense.
Very
Yeah, I
similar to
mean,
the Belgian language. A lot of people in Belgium speak French. I'm going with Thierry
Yeah.
Henry's pronunciation.
Eden Hazard spoke French,
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
so
Belgian's kind of a dead language. Same with like Dutch. Dutch is essentially a dead language. Most people in the Netherlands don't even speak Dutch, or they speak
What
Dutch
they
and
speak.
something else. So like a lot of them speak German or French or English. A lot of people speak English in the Netherlands.
Interesting.
Yeah, fun things that you pick up on traveling Europe. It's very fun. I recommend it to anybody. Please, if you ever get the
Yeah,
opportunity,
same.
do not pass up on traveling to Europe.
I wish that we focused on foreign language here in America like Europeans do.
Yeah.
I was blown away by the fact that everywhere I went in Italy, people were talking to me in English.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I think it's just that English has become the universally accepted language.
I mean, yeah, but I also think there's a certain arrogance towards
Definitely.
the English language, especially here in America.
I
for
think
sure,
the
so.
other part, and I guess you can strike this down by the fact that every other country around here speaks Spanish, but pretty much in this hemisphere, except Canada, which partially speaks French, we're disconnected from the multilingual culture of Europe. Europe is all in this one spot, and they all speak these different languages across this relatively small area. And we live in this giant country that is bigger than Europe, and we all speak the same language. I think that's
Yeah, I mean,
where the disconnect is.
that is true.
Like our states are their countries, but all of our states speak the same language.
Yeah.
But I also would understand if that was more popular. I think the thing is that like all these different countries in Europe, they focus on foreign language, which is just English, because their language isn't spoken everywhere, but English kind of is becoming that.
Yeah, and if they're, they probably don't have to learn the languages that, their country is touching, because I'm sure that
Mm-mm.
I'm sure that Polish and German are pretty similar. At least they look kind of
and
similar.
a lot of times, those countries surrounding just speak that language anyways.
Yeah.
For the most part. There's some
Yeah.
countries where you just won't find it, but like for the most part, either they speak that language or like their parents or their family speaks that language. Like it doesn't typically present a problem. But let's move on from foreign language talk, though it was an entertaining conversation, and talk about the January transfer window a little bit. I don't know. I'm sure I missed a couple moves here. I just kind of went through like a website full of confirmed moves, and then I saw a couple more on Twitter that I threw into the mix. So I'm sure I could be missing some. But we'll start off Vishka Kvaratskhelia, Napoli to PSG. Don't remember what they paid for him. I know it was the second most expensive move of this transfer window. I want to say it was somewhere in the 70s. But I don't have a transfer fee listed. I'll pull one up real quick. Let's see. Looks like 85 is the number I'm seeing. But yeah, he makes the move to PSG. Not surprisingly at all. There, since him and Osimhen had those great years, it seems like everybody has just been linking them elsewhere. So it was just kind of natural for Kvaratskhelia to make the jump finally. And I think PSG is making really good moves right now. I'll be honest, and they're playing some fantastic soccer as of recent. So definitely, I think going to be a very good player for them. Omar Marmoush, fantastic signing from what I'm hearing. Eintracht Frankfurt to Man City, the most expensive signing of the transfer window. I don't know much about him. I've heard a lot of great things. It seems like he's had a hell of a year.
Well,
and
yeah,
he got the move to Man City.
He was 15 goals in 17 matches.
Wow.
Eintracht Frankfurt. So
Wow.
that's pretty impressive. He had some chances against Chelsea that looked pretty decent, but he didn't score.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he's all right.
Yeah, I've heard of really good things. I just, I'm not really watching the Bundesliga very often. So,
but honestly, a move that probably Manchester City needed to make to freshen up, at least one side of their wing play.
Yeah.
So I don't really mind it for them.
No, and like I had talked about my frustrations with the wing play there for like quite some time, honestly.
Yeah.
And it does seem like he's the kind of player that could come in and make some changes. Also, like Savio starting to play a little bit better now. They're giving him a chance as well on the wing, so I'm excited about that. We had a bunch of big loan moves. Randall Colomwani going on loan to Juventus from PSG. I'm gonna be honest. As much as I talked him up, Thiago Motta not looking great at the moment with Juventus. Things just not looking good. And I think part of that is that he had kind of cultivated such an interesting squad at Bologna and kind of forced it to work how he wanted it to. And he just didn't inherit the same thing at Juventus and hasn't necessarily done a lot to change it. I'm not trying to excuse how the team has played because he should be able to adapt and figure things out. Just, I'm going to cut him a little bit of slack.
Yeah.
Kyle Walker heading on loan from Man City to AC Milan.
Dude.
Really interesting how he's been totally phased out of that squad.
Yeah, I know. And you want to talk about the fullbacks of AC Milan. There haven't been there haven't been like a lot of fullbacks that have been better than Kyle Walker and Teo Hernandez have been for years. So that's just going to be I love that signing for AC Milan.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
I think it's great. This is a one I love. And Ipswich has been super, super active. Julio Enciso on loan from Brighton to Ipswich. He brightens, no pun intended, brightens up this Ipswich lineup a lot. I think he could be extremely fun to watch. He's going to have the freedom. He's not really worried about anybody else that's on the field. And like we've seen him play at very high highs with Brighton. He's just had the injury bug a bit. If he can be healthy for Ipswich this season, I could definitely see Ipswich escaping the relegation zone with some of these other moves they've made.
Yeah, I like that take.
Emiliano Buendia on loan from Villa to Leverkusen, I thought was kind of interesting as well. He just has not been able to stay in the squad at Villa. And they seemingly just want to, give him playing time elsewhere. And Leverkusen is just such a fantastic landing spot for really anybody right now. If you want to get in the squad somewhere, go to Leverkusen because they're so competitive. Xabi Alonso is not going to shy away from a guy that is playing well. And it seems like his squad is ever changing. So sending a player that is very good and gets some credit, some playing time to Leverkusen to get more is just going to drive them to play harder. And I think that's the reason Leverkusen's been so well. Xabi Alonso is not stuck in some lineup. He's not stuck with one squad. He pretty well changes things up as much as he needs to, and I think it creates a fantastic environment for players to constantly be competing for a spot.
Yeah, and I want to add something to that. Aston Villa pretty much immediately replaced him with Daniel Malen from Borussia Dortmund, who I don't know if you remember, but he did sign with Arsenal a while ago and just never got the chance, so he
Yep.
went back to Germany. And now he's back in England with Aston Villa, and I like that move a lot. Malen has been a player that I felt could look dangerous in a top league for a pretty good team like Aston Villa. So that'll be interesting to see what he can do there.
Yeah, Buendia, I know you said they replaced him, and I do have Daniel Malen in my notes here. And he was actually the next one, so I'm glad you brought him up. Malen, obviously traditionally a striker, and Buendia, midfielder, I believe defensive midfielder. But definitely a good segue to Daniel Malen, who I think could potentially just give them a little bit of life. We don't really know what the striker position is going to hold for Villa. Once this transfer window shuts, I haven't seen official words on Johan Duran. Seemingly going to join Al Nassr. I don't know. It seems like he could, which fucking sucks. If he actually goes, that will suck. What an odd career path to go Chicago Fire, Aston Villa, Al Nassr. What the fuck?
Emiliano Buendia is a cam or winger.
Okay, yeah, that's all I saw was midfielder. Maybe I might have him mixed up with somebody. But
midfielder is just not a good word to call somebody anymore.
No,
there's just it's
yeah,
not.
I agree.
It can be so different.
Yeah, like Cole Palmer is a midfielder somehow.
Yeah.
But so is Declan Rice. Two very different players. Anthony on loan to Real Betis.
I'm sure you're talking about this.
I only brought it up because I'm so glad I can forget about him there. I have it in my notes. I said, this is perfect because I don't have to think about him.
Dude, I already saw Instagram post of Anthony's going to La Liga at the same age Cristiano Ronaldo did, and I'm just like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, except he's going to fucking wrong Real. Let's say that. Maybe the worst of the Real. There's so many other Reals he could have joined.
Yeah, from now on, even though there's many Reals, Real Betis is the wrong Real.
Yeah, I mean,
so perfect.
You've got Madrid, you've got Sociedad, you've got...
You could count
Villarreal. I think, the only other Real I can even think of is, Real Valladolid.
Real Oviedo.
Oh, Real Oviedo as well. Both of those,
Shout out Spin
both
FC.
of those, I believe, second division teams. Real Valladolid and Real Oviedo. So I guess Betis about halfway down the depth chart of Reals that we could think of. Yeah. Anthony fucking sucks. Let's talk about an actual promising young player. Jaden Philogene made the big move to Aston Villa. Now he's going to Ipswich.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. He couldn't get into the squad at Aston Villa, it seemed. He's just not ready. Ipswich doesn't seem like the ideal place for him to go right now. But if he can get in the squad and he can play well, fantastic. It just doesn't seem perfect. It makes me think that things aren't going as well as Villa would have hoped for him. That's my view right now with Philogene.
Yeah.
And then I just have a couple of interesting ones that have kind of just come across. Wilfred Zaha, Galatasaray to Charlotte FC. So Wilfred Zaha, welcome to America. Welcome to the Southeast. Thiago Almada, I thought this was very interesting. Just left Atlanta United last year for Botafogo, I believe is how you say it, in Argentina. They just sent him on loan to Lyon in France.
Wow.
which I think could be really fun. We all kind of thought at one point it looked like Almada was heading for Atletico Madrid, maybe Italy, and then that just kind of fell apart. Goes to Argentina, now heading to France on loan for the rest of the season. Okay, this next thing, I have no idea if this is true, but I feel like people should be talking about it more if it is. Is Neymar actually going back to Santos right now?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Santos released a really cool video where they AI'd Pele's voice, and it was like talking about Neymar like coming back and everything. So it was
Cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
I
and
like
I heard they're going to debut him at 2 different stadiums. I don't know how that works. They were going to helicopter him
Huh.
between the 2 stadiums, but why not just debut him at one? I don't know that
Yeah.
part.
They also they shared a clip of Neymar walking around the dressing room, and like you should have seen the look on like those players' faces.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
It was
He's a
genuinely like
legend.
they were looking at Ronaldinho.
He is a legend. Especially
Yeah.
as a Brazilian player. You must
Yeah.
he's the guy.
For his boyhood club as well.
Yeah.
I mean, like those
Yeah.
guys have signed there, like obviously with the knowledge that Neymar, was top 10 in Ballon d'Or voting with that club at one point. So
Yeah. Which is unbelievable.
Yeah, I love the move for him.
Yeah.
Love the move for him.
Other things that have kind of come across, like I talked about, Yohan Duran potentially heading to Al Nassr, it looks like.
Bobby
Apparently,
Simmons, the RB Leipzig. I don't think you said that one. That's pretty big.
I thought he was already there. I thought he was there
Uh,
at the end of the summer. He got to Leipzig.
I'm reading that it's it's transfer news from this window.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was some link between the two. I could be wrong. Yeah. Apparently, a lot of teams have been showing a lot of interest in Yohan Duran.
I cannot hear you. I just had an AirPod issue.
Oh, well, all I was saying is apparently a lot of teams have had interest in Yohan Duran. Apparently Chelsea dropped their interest because apparently not a good temper, not a good character, according to Chelsea's indications, I guess, which is interesting.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify what I mentioned earlier. Javi Simmons PSG to RB Leipzig is now a permanent deal.
Gotcha.
He was already there.
Gotcha.
It's now permanent.
That's
But
awesome.
What's really interesting is it was 41.2 million euros, and it has now risen to pretty much 68 million.
Wow.
Which is crazy. That's a big difference there.
Yeah.
But
wow.
Yeah, good for Xavi, I guess.
Yeah. There was also an issue here where on the day that Villa was playing their Champions League match, and Arsenal was as well, Arsenal submitted a $40 million bid for Ollie Watkins, which was, first of all, they said, hurtful, like painfully low. And also they were like, we're focused on winning this match today. And then they also rejected a $60 million or £60 million pound bid for Ollie Watkins and said they cannot give him up with Yohan Duran still kind of floating. So we still don't know what's going to happen with Yohan Duran. I would assume, based on every indication I have, it's going to fall apart. He'll still be there for the rest of the year, if I had to guess.
It would be great for Villa. I feel like having those, two strikers of that kind of caliber, despite maybe them not really in the best form right now. I guess Yohan Duran more so than Ollie Watkins, but that's still like a luxury that really a lot of teams in Europe don't have.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Last thing, Steven Gerrard. I don't know if you've been seeing anything about this. So he was the manager at Al Ettifaq in Saudi Arabia. And he had brought in Jordan Henderson and all that stuff. And then you had the whole issue with Jordan Henderson last season where he went to Ajax. Also, I think Jordan Henderson just got a move. I don't know where to. Somewhere in France, I believe. So shout out Jordan Henderson. But Steven Gerrard was at risk of being sacked, is what they said. The form wasn't good. Team wasn't playing well. And then all of a sudden he decides to leave on personal terms. Really weird situation, it seems. It seems like he just didn't want to get fired and was like, you can't fire me, I quit kind of thing. But like the whole him even being there in the first place never felt right.
Not at all.
Yeah, I never liked that one at all. Also, like Alejandro Garnacho might be leaving Manchester United before this transfer window ends, which is not long. So keep an eye on that one as well.
Bro, sorry, you talking about Jordan Henderson just made me type in his name in Google because I hadn't heard about him in a while. There's actually a lot of interesting shit going on with him right now. You want me to kind of brush over some
please
stuff?
do.
Real fast?
It'll be the final thing we talk about here before questions time.
Perfect. So Jordan Henderson was at Ajax, and even more so than just playing for Ajax, he was actually their captain, which I feel like is a pretty big deal. Ajax is a massive club still, and he was their captain, but right now he's trying to force a move to AS Monaco.
Gotcha.
So before their Champions, or no, sorry, they're not in the Champions League, I don't believe. Before their Europa League game, today, he actually had his captain's armband removed.
Interesting.
Yeah, for trying to force a move.
Okay.
Which is crazy. Yeah, all these people are calling him out. Dutch media says, "Be a man."
Wow.
Which is crazy. Which isn't Ajax like struggling right now in the league? They haven't been good for I feel like 2 years.
I don't think they're playing well, to my knowledge.
Yeah, Jordan Henderson, man, what a fall from grace.
Yeah. England captain, I believe, at one point.
Maybe. Ajax are actually second in the Eredivisie.
Okay. That's respectable.
Not that bad.
Okay.
Though.
Is that all for transfer news and such?
That's all I had.
Okay. Well, that means we come to that ever wonderful time of these episodes. That means it is questions time. Nathan has willingly provided us with another 6 questions this week. Thankful for Nathan for doing this every week. Obviously, you guys are welcome to contribute yourselves to questions time by joining the Second to Short subreddit r/2AND short. And you can submit your questions whatever you'd like. But if you want them answered here, you got to submit them by about 4 p.m. on Thursdays. Let's go ahead and kick this thing off because my laptop's about to die. If it does die in the middle of this, I'll pull it up on my phone. How many different pairs of shoes do you wear in a week?
Just one.
Really?
Yeah. Well, actually,
I used to be just one pair of shoe guy, but I've recently changed.
Yeah, that's actually not true. So, now that I think about it, like I do wear shoes. I change shoes for volleyball class, and then I wear different shoes to work because I'm on my feet a lot. So, probably like 2 to 3.
Yeah.
But my Nike Waffles are like my everyday shoe. Wow. I love that shoe.
I'm somewhere from 2 to 3. Are we counting like house shoes? Because like I have like some slippers I'll throw on if I need to just like run out and take the garbage out or something. But like typically I'm about 2 to 3. My primary rotation right now is some glycerin stealth fits and some Nike Pegasus Trails are the 2 primaries in the rotation. Every now and then I throw in my Ultra Boosts. And then on occasion, not a lot recently because it's been cold, I'll throw on like the foam runners. Like if I'm running to the grocery store real quick, I'll throw on the foam runners. Always with socks though. Always with long socks.
Yeah.
Because they rub bad on the back of my ankle. So I like have to wear long socks with them.
Makes sense.
But
Should
I do
run
love
through
the
my
foam runners.
shoes?
Yeah, you can. That's kind of the end of my rotation at the moment is that. And then some house shoes every now and then.
Okay. like I said earlier, Nike Waffle daily shoe. When I'm in volleyball, I either wear my Ultra Boost 21s, the thick heel boys, or I just wear some Nike pegs. Can't go wrong with Nike pegs, the sussies. And
Nice.
then I also like my Vapor Maxes still. I haven't worn them a lot in a while, but they're there as well. But yeah, the three main ones: Nike Waffles, the sussies, and then the Ultra Boost. Can't
Nice.
go wrong.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
for a long time, especially like as a kid, I only had one pair of shoes because my parents were buying me the shoes. You get one pair of
Yeah.
shoes. You better hope they get you through the school year.
Yeah. But now that we're done growing,
yeah,
we can rotate.
that's the biggest
shit.
thing. I got all the way up to
Yeah.
a size 14. I was tearing through some fucking shoes, man. And I've also noticed since I've lost weight, my shoes last longer because I'm not putting as much pressure on them.
Oh wow, that's actually
Kind of an
I've
interesting,
never even thought of that
yeah.
before.
Like the insoles of my shoes don't wear down as quickly. It's kind of nice.
Nice.
Kind of nice. Just
Yeah,
one of those
that's
added
nice.
benefits of taking care of yourself. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Those things you don't even think about. It's a crazy change of pace here. How long do you think you could last bull riding? A big 0
Bull riding?
seconds. 0 fucking seconds.
Oh man, I got a actually embarrassing story about a mechanical bull. Speaking of
Please.
bull riding.
Please enlighten us.
So,
I've never done it before.
I'm enjoying myself at PBR.
Yep, at the Battery?
In Marietta at the Battery. Yep. Hanging out.
Still never
They have
been.
they have bull riding there.
Yeah.
You should go.
I haven't done anything
Definitely
in the
pregame.
Battery except like go to Wahlburgers because I haven't gone to I've only gone to one Braves game since I've been 21.
Wow. But yeah, you go to the Battery, but definitely
Braves
pregame
games.
before. It's expensive.
Yeah.
To drink there. But so I'm the mechanical bull. It's it starts out right, and there's like a crowd of people because like the line is long, and the line is all watching whoever's going at the time, right, dude. I probably lasted like 4 seconds. I completely took my hands off of the bull because I was like, oh, it's gonna start slow. Just ate shit. So
Nice.
yeah,
Hell yeah.
it was bad.
Good stuff, man.
So how long would I last on a real bull? If I'm really
Not
hanging
long.
on, I'll give myself 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 seconds.
I have no like frame of reference. I would assume on a real bull 3. Maybe.
Yeah.
I've watched bull riding before. It's fucked.
It's insane.
Like,
dude. If the
think
bull
about the
catches you, it
fact
could be
that
life changing.
professionals are you try to get to 8 seconds. There's pros that aren't getting to 8 seconds every time.
Okay, then I'll fall off instantly. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
That. To be honest, yeah, I didn't know.
I don't think
how
I'm
long
making it out
average,
the
like,
gate.
professional. Yeah, it's gonna get you in the gate somehow.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in the fucking stands.
Oh man.
Best
Let's hope
fucking
the bull
believe I'm
doesn't
wearing a
follow you up
helmet
to the
too.
stands.
Best fucking believe I'm wearing a helmet.
I don't know if a helmet would do much.
I
it would do
I
better.
need anything I could get. Anything.
Yeah, bulls fuck people up.
Oh yeah, dude. Ask the Pampelonians.
Yeah.
That'll fuck you up, dude. Do you
Yeah.
think NFL MVP has become kind of pointless because it only goes to QBs?
No,
I don't think so either.
I don't think so.
I think we've gotten to a point where QBs are just so fucking good.
Yeah,
And they're so important to the team's success.
exactly. The award is the most valuable player.
Yeah.
So
It's hard to
It's,
value
you know.
anybody more than a quarterback.
now I'll say it's kind of annoying, but like there's nothing more entertaining to me when a player that's not a quarterback actually makes a run at it. Like
Yeah.
probably this year, Saquon.
Yeah.
Like I think that shit's so cool.
I agree. I agree
So-
with that. I think to me, the biggest thing is like the quarterbacks are putting up better numbers than ever. The running backs
Definitely,
aren't
yeah.
necessarily. Like Saquon has more games to do it and still didn't break Eric Dickerson's record. I know he chose kind of not to, but like they should, if the quarterbacks are putting up better numbers, the running backs should have to put up better numbers if they really want to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
I think that's where people kind of forget. What old man sport do you want to be good at late in life? Well, I literally talked about at the beginning of this episode that I hit the driving range. It's obviously golf.
Yeah, not golf for me. Old man sport?
What? Okay, let's clear things up here. Old man sport would be golf, tennis. Does tennis fall in there?
Maybe pickleball more so.
I
than
feel like
tennis, probably.
country club sports are old man sports.
Okay.
So like,
then none of them.
yeah, golf,
I will
tennis,
be.
pickleball,
Yeah, I could probably still
shuffleboard.
kick around at 50 years old. I hope I'm able to.
Yeah, but you're obviously not going to be playing
like-
competitive soccer. Well, you're not even really going to be playing like soccer or like baseball or football. Like,
Yeah.
it's got to be like
Okay.
I think like golf and tennis and like disc golf even like there's some old guys out there playing some good disc golf. Like,
Yeah, disc golf would be. Yeah, probably disc golf then, because I love throwing a frisbee. So.
yeah. It's just that an old man's not going to be playing like ultimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think it's clearly golf for me. I
don't know. A lot of those old man sports.
My favorite. Oh, wait,
really
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say a lot of the old man sports I really don't like.
I think you'd like
at all.
tennis. I think tennis is cool. Tennis is fun.
Tennis, it can be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say? That was
I
kind of the end of my.
I think I just like everything about golf. Like I like that's like my go-to like style. Like I like golf style. I like golf like culture. I like the idea of like going out on the links with the boys and having a couple beers. I like smoking some cigars out on the course. Like those kinds of things are just a cool ass vibe. That's what I like. I don't like fucking tennis vibes. Tennis vibes suck. Like grown men playing tennis is lame as shit. Grown men playing golf are just the coolest guys.
Yeah, I mean they might be cool, but they're not as athletic as tennis players.
No, not at all.
Obviously.
But I don't know if you've seen these old men that play in like these, USTA leagues or whatever the fuck it's called. Like, it's sad
Or they just
to watch the fucking old men play tennis.
Yeah.
It's bad. It is bad. Who would you want as your all-time quarterback 1, running back 1, and wide receiver 1? But you have to choose one person from your favorite team. I'll say you can only choose one person from your favorite team.
Okay, because I was about to interrupt you and just go 3 Bs, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
Obviously, give me Ben. I'm gonna take Ben for sure. Damn, that's a good question. Wide receiver?
Yup.
And can it be all time? I'm guessing.
Yeah, all time.
I mean, I
That's
already
what I was
took
saying.
Ben.
Yeah.
Am I trying to win or have fun?
It's up to you, man. It's just your all-time
go-
quarterback 1, running back 1, wide receiver 1, but you have to have one player from your favorite team.
Okay, I'll go Ben, Calvin Johnson, and damn, running back's hard. There's a lot of running backs that I like. I'll take Barry.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you take 2 Lions.
Lion.
Funny enough.
Actually, yeah. Let me get away from Barry. Let me think of someone else. Shit. Trying to think, man. Who would I like as my running back?
I know who I want, so I'm not going to say it out loud because I don't want to copy you.
I guess I'll. Fuck. I don't know. Emmett. We'll go Emmett.
Okay.
Yeah.
My running back, I'm taking LaDainian Tomlinson.
I almost
Yeah.
said him instead of Emmett Smith.
Love LaDainian
So,
Tomlinson. Wide receiver.
Roddy White.
Well, this is where I probably would take Julio.
Yeah. Let's see the jersey behind you. Point at it.
You
Yeah.
can't see it on the on camera, but it is over there. See, I can't decide. I don't know. do I want Vic at quarterback or do I want Julio at wide receiver? Now, I love
You
Matt.
definitely
I
want
love
Julio wide
Matt,
receiver.
but Vic is so much fun, dude.
Yeah.
Vic
Why
is
don't you
fun.
just go Julio and then prime Aaron Rodgers? I know you like him.
That's true. I definitely could go that way. I don't know. I want to be creative here. I will take
Yeah.
Julio at wide receiver.
Rich Gannon.
Yeah, give me fucking Boomer size. No. Let's go fucking prime Andrew Luck. I love watching Andrew Luck.
Okay.
This is just guys I liked.
Yeah.
Andrew
There
Luck,
was about
LaDainian
7%
Tomlinson,
of me.
Julio.
There was about 7% of me that thought you were gonna whip out like Norman Van Brocklin or something like that.
Yeah. Give me Norm Van Brocklin. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Give me Johnny Unitas.
Dropping bombs to Julio.
Yeah. God. Imagine if Norm Van Brocklin had Julio in that game where he threw for 550 something yards. He would have thrown for like 6.
Yeah.
Julio would have had like 400 yards. This is a fantastic
next week,
final question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Nathan next week should flip that onto defense. Where we do like 3 defensive players.
Yeah. Who is the most dominant athlete ever? It's a fucking tough question. Tough question.
I feel like I'm slowly slipping into my abyss.
Yeah,
back here.
it's probably a good idea.
In that question. Most dominant athlete ever.
Yeah.
Trying to think of somebody who like stood alone, so I'm not going to go like Messi or Ronaldo.
Yeah,
'cause they
that's
kinda
my
offset.
thing. Nobody does it at one time by themselves. There's always somebody else.
Always someone else, and I feel like all the guys that did it by themselves were they played back
Way
then,
back
when
then.
it was just potatoes and shit like that out
Yeah,
there.
like Babe Ruth wasn't the most dominant. He was just the only one.
Why do I feel like I'm kind of leaning towards LeBron?
But like Michael, obviously they didn't overlap. But like Michael Jordan or LeBron, they almost cancel each other out.
Yeah,
I think
actually, you know
Tiger
what?
Woods has a shout. His run,
Ooh, Tiger.
unbelievable.
Yeah. Or maybe this question is who's just the most like physically like
Maybe.
impressive athlete of all
Maybe.
time? Because like that would make it a lot easier on me. Because I would probably go I'd probably go like Cristiano Ronaldo or Julio Jones. I think those are the 2 probably most
I
impressive.
think
like,
Megatron
physical specimens
as well.
Yeah, Megatron
Megatron's
too.
in that conversation.
It's like when I think athlete, I think as somebody who has size, has weight, but also could probably run like a 4.4.
Yeah, Bo
And,
Jackson.
just be elite. Yeah, Bo.
Great shout.
Bo's
Dual
crazy.
sport too.
Yeah.
I think he's a really good choice for either kind of way. But if we're talking like dominant, like Michael Jordan, LeBron James type dominant, I think Tiger is a great one. I think Barry Bonds. Like I know,
Yeah.
like Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire were in those home run races with him, but like
But
nobody was putting up the same numbers across the board like Barry Bonds was for a number of years. Now, you might have been cheating, but the numbers, you can't deny the numbers.
no, I agree with you, and I'm gonna change my answer too. If we're going dominant athlete as far as like what they did in their sport, I would probably have to say Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
There's nobody like him.
Yeah, the numbers he
good
put
shout.
up, unbelievable, unreal.
Which is wild because I feel like your average sports fan would never even think of saying Barry Bonds.
No.
But I think it's kind of like I think it's clearly Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Like the more that I keep processing it, it's probably him.
Yeah, we're not even at the 2-hour mark. I'm bringing up Barry Bonds' baseball reference.
Yeah, let's get blown away. Let me make sure my pants are on.
Oh my fucking God.
Have you ever looked at this before?
Oh, dude, I fucking jerk off to this baseball reference page, dude. It still astounds me. How can that many things be bold or italicized? And then when you go down to the end of his career, he's got 4 fucking categories in gold, which means he leads them all time. And one of them's intentional walks, and the other one is walks.
How does that even happen?
It's 688 intentional walks in 22 years.
Wow.
He led the league in intentional walks every year from 1992 through 1998. And then also led the league in intentional walks 2002, 2003, 2004, 2006, and 2007, which was his final 2 seasons in the league.
Yeah.
He's fucking unbelievable. He was 42 years old, getting intentionally walked 43 times with a major league leading on base percentage. Led the league in walks that season as well. Just unbelievable. Somehow
That's
hit
42 years old. Too?
only 28 home runs at 42 years old.
Wow.
Barry Bonds gotta be the guy. What's insane is he only led the league in home runs 2 times in his career.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
He hit 46 in 93, and he hit 73 in 2001. But like I said, he had Sammy Sosa and McGuire around him this whole time. So it was like the year before he hit 73, he hit 49. The year after he hit 73, he hit 46, then 45, then 45 again.
Wow.
You just don't see that consistency. You just don't see it. And like he had 2 different 4-year stretches in his career where he led the league in OPS. Just fuck like stop. It's Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds is the fucking answer to this question. 7-time MVP. That's crazy. Yeah. And what's even crazier, he won MVP 7 times. He came second in MVP, I think, 2 other times in his career. He was top 5 another 3 times in his career. Like from 1990 all the way through 2004, other than 1999 when I believe he was injured and kind of just had a down year as well, never finished outside of the top 12 in MVP voting, and that was only one time that he was outside of the top 8.
Damn.
Unfucking believable consistency. Somehow you just went out of focus again. I don't know what you did, but
I know the fix for it now.
Yeah, that's
the fix every time.
So yes, Barry Bonds, shout out.
You know, to keep it on this question, none of us mentioned Tom Brady, who has more Super Bowls than any NFL franchise. Now, we brought up discussions of like he played in a league where there were many other great quarterbacks around him, but none of them, as far as at least
Nobody
Super
really
Bowls
beat him,
go,
except,
even compares.
Hey, Eli beat him twice, and that's as good as it gets.
Yeah. So I feel like Brady would probably be my number 2.
Yeah, he's definitely up there. I would probably go Barry and then Tiger in my eyes. Tiger Woods dominant. Absolutely dominant.
If we get this question 15 years, down the road, we'll be talking about how Mahomes made it to like what 8 straight AFC Championship games.
He's already at 7.
Yeah.
When he makes fucking 18 straight. Yeah. Don't worry. The next time this question comes around in 15 years, we'll be talking about Anthony. Don't you fret, man.
And how he turned around Real Betis.
Yes.
And dethroned all the La Liga teams.
Yeah. He's going to be doing it on his own. He's going to be playing goal as well. He'll be playing in goal and at striker for Real Betis, winning the league.
Yeah.
Before we leave, we typically spend this time in questions time talking about music and stuff. Have you got any music you want to talk about before we wrap things up here?
I know what we talked about a couple days ago. I really don't. I've been I guess I've been kind of getting into more of like the Latin stuff.
I like that.
Been listening to a lot of Romeo Santos, the king of bachata. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, of course.
Trying to think. Chris MJ, which is MJ in English.
Yep.
He's really good too. He's kind of like a new reggaeton artist in the scene. Same with Floyd Manor, which he actually collabs with Chris MJ a lot. They're such a good collab. Grayson, by the way, if you haven't heard the song "Got to Only," bro, that is that song is amazing.
Okay.
And I know that's
I'll
kind of an old
keep it in
song, so
mind.
that's not news to anybody. But if it's news to you, Grayson,
is.
please listen to
It
that
is.
song.
I'll have to give it a shot.
Yeah.
I haven't been listening to anything necessarily new. Like you, I've kind of like just like dove into something I was already listening to, which is just like
Yeah.
all of the Red Clay Strays discography. That's what I've delved into over this past week. Is their music, but also I've been on a. I was telling you that I've been watching all the shows. I've been on like the Tour de Taylor Sheridan shows right now. Taylor Sheridan, obviously a big TV producer and writer. I finished Yellowstone like probably right around when the last episode of Yellowstone came out. I finished Yellowstone. Then I just kind of held out on it. Last Saturday, went on Paramount Plus and started and finished Landman by Sunday. Finished 1883 on Tuesday, and I'm halfway through the first season of 1923. Next season, 1923, comes out at the end of February. So to bridge that gap, I'll be watching both seasons of Lioness once I finish 1923. So that's
And you got it all planned out.
Yeah, I've got it figured out. And I've got some movies that I need to watch that have just hit streaming services as well. Yeah, the Saturday Night Live movie just hit Netflix the other day. Gonna need to watch that.
Yeah.
Gladiator 2 is on Paramount Plus. Gonna need to watch that.
Yeah.
There's probably some others that I'm missing that recently hit streaming services. They just put a ton of good movies on streaming services in the past couple weeks.
There's speaking of like movies and stuff, there in a lot of my journalism classes, they've been talking about the AP, or I think it was AP News that released this documentary, or maybe I got it mixed up, but basically that really famous picture from Vietnam where that little girl's naked because all of her clothes got burned off and she's like walking down the street. They just like a week ago, somebody claimed that the guy who made that picture didn't make that picture.
Oh.
So it's causing a lot of controversy, and I cannot remember where this documentary is, but it got released like over last weekend, I believe. And I believe it's AP News that's defending the original photographer because he worked for them back in the day.
Gotcha.
But it's sparking a lot of controversy. So
okay, interesting. Yeah, I think there's a lot of good
Probably
stuff to be
watch
watching right now, and I think we all kind of need a distraction from the world at the moment.
Yeah, that is true.
That's a safe assumption to make for just about anybody.
Stuff going on.
Yeah,
dude. How about that plane crash this morning?
That's
that we woke up
fucking
to?
Crazy.
Awful.
Helicopter runs into a plane.
Awful.
Super weird stuff with that too. Yeah, awful.
Yeah.
I don't know what the count is at the moment. Haven't heard a lot.
It was like mid-60s.
Yeah. Haven't heard too much. I haven't been paying attention very much. I've just been getting ready for this podcast all day. So that's what I've been up to. But yeah, a lot of things going on in the world, and luckily we have a lot of sports to take care of it. So if you are desperate for a distraction, the Pro Bowl festivities will roll this week. If you'd like to really watch those and get a distraction from the horrible travesties that are being committed, but it's one of them. The Pro Bowl is one of them. And of course, the MLB right around the corner. We're getting there, guys. Just hold on. March 27th will come soon. It will. And then, of course, there's Premier League to watch this weekend. You got the Champions League will be set with this draw at least tomorrow, so you guys will have that. You got the last 2 days or the last day of transfer news to look forward to. And and then we got the Super Bowl next week. Reminder, live stream for the Super Bowl right here on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube already, go to the YouTube, subscribe, like, comment, turn on post notifications. If you're on the podcast platforms, rate 5 stars, give us a follow. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok. Join the Second and Short subreddit. It's r/2ndand short. Luke, anything for the people before we get them out of here?
Comment yes or no to what if instead of the Pro Bowl, we had Ohio State play the Jaguars or the Patriots? Someone like that.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Yeah, so just yes or
And
no.
you can't
in the
opt out.
yeah.
You cannot
You
opt
can't
out of
opt
this
out.
game if
Sorry.
you're a player.
No, you have to get
Yeah.
hurt. You have to get a career-ending
Yeah,
injury in
you
this game
have
if you
to
want
get
to. Yeah, sorry. I don't make the rules.
Oh, man.
All right. Guys, please enjoy the weekend and ignore the Pro Bowl if you'd like to enjoy your weekend. And me and Colin will be here on Monday. NFL awards predictions from me and Colin. A couple other things we'll be talking about, obviously, MLB stuff,
I'm
college
so mad
football
I'm not
stuff.
a part of that.
Yeah. Maybe you could text me your picks and we'll talk about them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
can do
All right. Well, guys, we will see you. I'll see you on Monday. Luke will see you next Friday. And then it will be about time for the Super Bowl. Next week, Super Bowl preview with me and Luke. Excited. All right, guys.
I'm excited.
We'll catch you guys later. Enjoy the weekend. I'll see you at the beginning of the week. Peace.